Have you ever wondered what it feels like to shift your own gears in your car? Or maybe you wanted to learn how to drive stick one day and you just never decided to because it was either too hard or too scary. Well, today I'm going to teach you how to drive stick, the pros and cons of a manual transmission car, and the market for them. Now, manual cars, they're more fun and they actually do cost less. And they are also, the brain fart. But many companies, they offer cars in manual transmission cars as well. They're not just always automatic. Now, an example of this is in 2018, the PR Newswire got invited out by Honda for their shifting gears event back in 2018. It was held in the San Gabriel Canyons. So what they did was they invited them and 53 other influencers to record the event, and they actually taught them how to drive stick. It was a 4-part learning process, and all of them had a great time, and they actually said it was actually more fun, and they were definitely considering buying a manual car. Now also, in 2012, Stephen Williams in the company Adage, they found out that Fiat, Mini, and Toyota, Scion being Toyota's youth brand, they are actually having good sale numbers in manual transmission cars. Now, with that being said, only about 10% of cars or new cars in the US are manual, while the other 90% is still being only automatic. So it may not seem a lot, but most of the people who are buying manual transmission cars, they're already buying them used. So Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, Craigslist, they have tons and tons of manual cars that you can choose from if you wanted to buy one. So there is a market for them, and I bought 2 of mine, only manuals only, back on a few years back on Facebook Marketplace. So there's a market. Now, the pros and cons of driving a stick shift car. So the pros, one being you can downshift. So if you don't know what downshifting is, it's basically you shifting into a lower gear without pressing the brake pedal, so it slows you down without pressing the brake. But if you wanted to, you could engine brake, so downshifting, and you can apply the brake pedal, so that makes you stop more efficiently. Now, another pro is they cost less. So for these cars, there's less moving parts in the transmission and in the engine, so that's less parts that you have to pay for, unlike an automatic car. So for example, the Subaru, there's more components in that transmission than there is in this old Nissan. So this one's obviously going to cost more compared to this. Now also, Dustin Harley, back in 2022, he wrote an article called "Are Manual Transmissions Cheaper to Repair and Easier to Maintain Than Automatic Cars?" So what he found out was these are actually cheaper to maintain to a degree. Cheaper to maintain and also to a degree to repair. So for manual transmission cars, you have to replace the clutch every few years, and the clutch is basically what makes the car go forward. So if you're in a heavily populated city like ours, you're going to be using that clutch more during traffic. It's going to wear it down a little bit faster compared to a area where there's less people. You don't have to replace that item or part as much. Now, also, if you break down, if you're in an automatic car, sometimes let's say you put in a park, you check outside, and you realize, okay, I gotta move the car to the side of the road. So you get back in, you try to put in neutral, but your shifter is locked, it's stuck there. You can't shift in neutral. Well, for manual cars, you can shift into neutral anytime you want. That's basically the whole point of shifting. So what I'm trying to say is if these cars break down, you can easily just push it to the side of the road, and you can even jump start them if you really want to. Or you can pop the clutch if your battery's dead, and boom, you're getting started. Well, can't do that with automatic cars. Now, I'm going to actually teach you how to drive a manual car. So this is from Jack R. Nerard. It was in a JD Power article back in 2021. So what he says is to get in first gear, well, first let's start with turning on the car. So instead of an automatic car where you put your foot on the brake and then you turn the key and it starts, you're actually gonna put your foot on the clutch and turn the key while making sure your emergency brake is up so you don't roll anywhere just in case. So once the car started, we're gonna go into first gear. So to get in first gear, you're gonna put the clutch in. Your clutch is gonna be the very left pedal. So manual cars, they have 3 pedals compared to 2. So everything's the same, you're just gonna have a third pedal to the left. So that's the clutch, you're gonna push it in. You wanna shift into gear in first. So if you think about it, it's an H. So this is like your middle line, there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if you have 6 speed. You want to shift first, so you can pull that shifter to the right and up. I'm sorry, to the left and up. That's first gear. Now from here, it's a give and take on the pedals. So you're gonna, so if you're think of it, it's gonna be like that, just like that. You're gonna add the gas and you're gonna pull off the clutch at the same time. Now, if you do this wrong, you're gonna stall the car. Now, stalling is the engine saying, "Hey, you're hurting me." It's just gonna shut itself down. But if you do it right, you'll actually get started. Now also, this is more of a fact, but the company Direct Line Group, they did a study where in Europe, or I'm sorry, the UK, 70% of the cars are manual transmission cars. So if you ever wanted to go travel out of country, you want to visit Europe, and you're like, oh, I can just save money by not taking taxis, I'll rent a car. If you don't know how to drive stick, you're not going anywhere, and you're going to have to spend money on everywhere you go with taxis. Now, in conclusion, there's still a market for these cars. You can find car enthusiasts everywhere, and most of the time they're driving stick shift cars. Now, it's just a good skill to learn. It transfers over to motorcycles if you really want to drive a motorcycle. It's literally the same thing, but it's clutches with your feet. You're going to use your hands on the handlebars. And you can drive anywhere in the world, basically. Once you get, if you hold the car there, you're good. Hope you learned something. That's my speech.